Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Senior Director and Co-Founder of the Love Yourself organization, Chris Lagman.
Hello. Wala akong makita. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Hacking HIV. We'll be talking about some very exciting things tonight, so hold on to your seats. First, I'll talk about Love Yourself. For the past 5 years, in cooperation with the government, particularly the Research Institute for Tropical Medicine, the Department of Health, and other supporting agencies, Love Yourself is at the forefront in the war against HIV in the country. For the past number of years, including these recent months, the media was already reporting on the sharp rise in the number of HIV cases in the Philippines. But the elections happened, and the burial happened. So many other things happened, and so that story was pushed out of the headlines. But while Filipinos were preoccupied with other national concerns, the number of HIV cases continued to rise at an alarming rate. Alarming. While HIV has been decreasing steadily all over the world, the Philippines today is one of the only countries whose numbers are not only increasing, but are increasing exponentially. Now that's alarming. At the rate we're going, it's more HIV in the Philippines. Love Yourself was started out by a group of friends. It's an initiative from some of us in the Filipino MSM community to help the government and the community to provide counseling during HIV testing. As the number of HIV cases increased, we at Love Yourself felt the need to evolve in response to the growing crisis. And so tonight, we want to remind the media and the public about the war on HIV. We also want to show you the pioneering efforts that Love Yourself has done, will continue to do, and will be doing in the near future. This is a war not just against a disease, but also against the discrimination and stigma attached to it. In 2011, 5 years ago, Love Yourself started out with just 6 volunteers, myself included, Vin included. Today, we are now 600 strong and counting. Almost all of us at Love Yourself are from the community that's very much at risk. So we thought, who better to understand, help, and love ourselves but ourselves? What makes Love Yourself stand out from other groups that are also fighting the war on HIV? We at Love Yourself developed a culture that emphasized a more positive approach versus the fear approach that was commonly used in the early days. We pushed for the values of love, belonging, and being sex positive. Using positive values makes it easier for us to recruit new volunteers. The positive messaging makes it easier for us to reach our target audience. More importantly, we found out that a positive message makes for a more compelling reason to get tested. As Love Yourself volunteers grew in number, we knew we had to find more efficient ways to keep our volunteers up to date in their knowledge and skills. So we turned to new technology. With the help of Google, our friends in Google, we now have the Love Yourself Google Classroom online. Now, Love Yourself volunteers can update their knowledge anytime, anywhere, at their convenience. Our modules are also reusable. Google Classroom gives Love Yourself a convenient and cost-effective form of teaching for an ever-growing community. We also realized that to fight the war on HIV, we needed to be more savvy. We needed to be more strategic. And we needed a more holistic approach. We needed more than just counselors. So we encouraged our volunteers to go beyond counseling. All of us wear many hats in life. Some of us are dentists, other teachers, and many other professions. So we realized maybe we should tap the other skills of our volunteers, whether it be in communications, marketing, events, technology, or learning and development. We rely on our volunteers to do more. We also found ways to tap the people in the community who also want to help, but either one, don't have much time to spare, or two, not skilled in counseling. So, Love Yourself has a growing list of advisors. These are not members, these are not counselors, but they have skills to give, or talents that are needed to fight against HIV. So recently, Love Yourself reached out to these experts in various fields to participate in the very first Love Yourself Hackathon. The hackathon is a 24-hour period where these experts come together to put together something solid and meaningful for the community. It is cost-effective because it's short, it leverages the necessary skills of non-Love Yourself volunteers, and the outcomes are very concrete and deliverable. The first hackathon was how to further push condom use to a more specific target audience, the sexually active MSMs. The result is a Love Yourself program called Condiment Station. It is now ready for implementation, but given its specific target, we won't have a press launch for it. So the hackathon is just one, and the latest of Love Yourself's many projects in our war against HIV. To show you more about the successful programs and efforts of Love Yourself through the years, I will now turn you over to our founder and executive director, Mr. Vin Pagtakhan.
Thank you, Chris. Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Vin, and when I first founded this HIV advocacy, I really had no idea of how to go about things. I just wanted to do something for the community. I even called it Vin Advocacy. Thank God for Chris and our other friends who joined me. We now have a better sounding name, as well as a clear vision of what we're all about. As Chris mentioned, when Love Yourself first started, we were focused on convincing MSMs to get themselves tested. But more than just testing, we also wanted to empower the community. So that not only that they will want to know their status, they will also want to remain free, safe, healthy, and HIV-free. That's why we came up with our first program called the 3S Project. Smart, safe, and sexy. 3S is a structured way to influence and empower the community to get tested. Love Yourself volunteers encourage their friends to get tested, who, in turn, encourages their friends to get tested. It's quick, very low to no cost way to reach the target audience. And we marketed HIV testing and knowing one's status as something smart and sexy. Using positive messages instead of using fear resulted in a unprecedented number of people getting tested. Love Yourself also pushed for the use of new technology to improve our systems. Love Yourself put up the Nuvo system in our Love Yourself clinics. The Nuvo system gives Love Yourself a match advantage not only in making testing process easier, more convenient, and more client-friendly. It also allows us high-speed data breakdown and crunching, so as to better understand the extent of the HIV crisis in the country. For example, from the data we gathered in our system, we're able to come up with the incidence density in our first testing center. The incidence density is the number of new HIV cases per population at a risk over time. For comparison, let's take the study in Bangkok in 2013 among MSMs. With an incidence density of 5, expert health officials already labeled HIV levels in Bangkok as an explosive epidemic. Mind you, it's not just an epidemic, it's an explosive epidemic at an incidence density of 5.9. In Love Yourself Testing Center, the incidence density was at 6.1. The same data also showed that the higher risk or the highest risk were the people aged 15 to 22 years old. Thanks to the data, Love Yourself came up with our response to that alarming trend. we quickly put up our newest clinic called Love Yourself Uni. The clinic's name, the choice of its location, its interior design, and color scheme, all of that was done with a particular target market in mind. And also because of the learnings and insights we got from the Nuvo we gathered, we were able to fine-tune our messages to make it even more relevant to our target audience. For example, we used to promote the concept of ABC to our clients. A, abstinence. B, be mutually faithful. C, condom use. But over time, we found out that messages to be out of touch with our clients. So we replaced ABC and came up with a new message, TSC, or the Triangle of Self-Care. What is TSC? Let's watch this.
Meet Chris, a regular Pinoy guy. He tries to live life to the fullest. He's active in his work life, his personal life, and also his sex life. Yes, he enjoys sex just like everybody else. Chris knows that to have a healthy sex life, he needs to stay healthy so he can be physically fit to enjoy sex. And he's able to do that by learning and living the lessons of the Triangle of Self-Care. What is the Triangle of Self-Care? The Triangle of Self-Care is an easy-to-remember guide to living a healthy sex life. It consists of 3 points. T means timely testing and treatment. In the Philippines today, HIV is on the rise. For sexually active men, it's now necessary to know one's HIV status. Studies have shown that the earlier HIV is detected, the better the chances of surviving it because of early access to treatment and medication. If you find out that you are HIV negative, you can learn how to remain HIV free. If you find out you are positive, you can immediately get treatment and adapt a healthier lifestyle so you can live longer. Taking the test is important. There are people living with HIV who may look just as physically fit and healthy as those without HIV. It is only through testing that a person can really know if he has HIV or not. So for those who have never taken the test, the sooner they get tested, the better. And for those who continue to be sexually active, it's best to take the test regularly, every 3 months. S means safe and satisfying sex. It's not your sexual orientation that puts you at risk of HIV, but it's what you do. There are sexual acts that are relatively safer, while there are sexual acts that put you at risk of exposure to HIV. Chris stays informed of the risks that accompany the sex acts he enjoys, and he makes it a point to update what he knows through reputable sources. By knowing the potential risks and the ways to prevent or lessen those risks, Chris can continue to have safer sex for as long as he wants. One of the most effective ways to reduce the risk of acquiring sexually transmitted infections is by using a condom. C means correct and consistent use of condoms and lubes. Nowadays, the variety and availability of condoms means Chris can find one that best fits his needs. Proper use of a condom, together with a water-based lubricant, will help ensure that the sex is safe yet satisfying. Make sure that condoms are not expired and are stored properly. The Triangle of Self-Care. T for timely testing and treatment, S for safe and satisfying sex, and C for correct and consistent use of condoms and lubes. 3 important points that shape and guide Chris's choices when he engages in sex. Chris is happy, Chris is healthy, Chris has sex safely. Be like Chris. Live in the Triangle of Self-Care.
With more and more clients testing positive, Love Yourself had to respond to this growing need. We wanted to make sure that if a client tests positive, we should be able to immediately bring him into a system that offers not just treatment, but more importantly, care and support. We call it our 4S program: sensing, synchronizing, shifting, and sustaining. The 4S is a holistic approach to help a newly diagnosed person living with HIV in its first 3 to 6 months. The 4S encompasses testing, treatment, and transitioning the client into a sustainable lifestyle that befits a person living with HIV. 4S provides biomedical treatment, meaning we help provide medicines, plus a transitioning support. Meaning, we provide them life coaches for the first 3 to 6 months, depending on the client. What's also significant is that 4S was designed by our community, the people who really know how living with HIV affects us and our loved ones. Since we started 4S last year, we've had massive success in servicing the needs of people living with HIV. Out of the 800 plus PL-HIV serviced by the program as of today, we are proud to say that all, I repeat, all of those who have been enrolled in the program for 6 months or more have all been virally suppressed. Meaning, the virus is virtually undetectable in their blood. So as you can see, Love Yourself has been doing our best throughout the years to help fight the war on HIV. And today, we are here because we are unveiling Love Yourself's latest program. We will be spearheading the introduction of the most significant and sophisticated weapon in the arsenal to halt the spread of HIV. It's being used in massive success in other countries, and now Love Yourself is bringing it here in the Philippines. Ladies and gentlemen, let's watch this.
Sex is good. In fact, sex is great fun. But the fun stops when you have to worry about sexually transmitted infections like HIV. Up until recently, the most common way of preventing HIV is by using condoms. And hey, that's still good. But what if I told you there's a new and very effective way to protect yourself from HIV so you can continue to enjoy sex? Do I have your attention now? Great, hear me out. This new invention is called Pre-Exposure Prophylaxis, or simply PrEP. It's a pill you take every day to prevent HIV. The drug, as long as it is in the bloodstream, enables the body to resist incoming HIV and thus prevent infection. Now, you may ask, does PrEP really work? Well, yes. The iPrex study has shown that individuals who took PrEP daily were 99% protected. It's not 100%, as there's no perfect pill, but 99% is damn good protection. You might think, okay, this is convincing, but it's a drug. It must have side effects. The majority of people who take PrEP say they haven't experienced any side effects at all. But like with any drug, there are some reported minor side effects to consider. Approximately 10% of people taking PrEP initially experienced mild side effects, such as nausea, diarrhea, and headaches. None are life-threatening. And these side effects tend to go away quickly, usually within a month. A small number of people taking PrEP may experience changes in their kidney function and in their bone density. These side effects are very rare. In fact, PrEP has been approved as safe and effective by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. However, it is important to note that daily PrEP is very effective only against HIV. PrEP does not protect you from other sexually transmitted infections like gonorrhea, syphilis, and genital warts. This is why it is highly recommended that taking daily PrEP is done in tandem with correct and consistent use of condoms and lubes. Lastly, PrEP is not something you need to take forever. With proper guidance from your doctor, you can safely stop or even restart taking PrEP with no negative impact. More than just a daily pill, PrEP is about self-empowerment. With PrEP, you have an additional tool you can use so you can continue to enjoy safe and satisfying sex. With PrEP, you are in control of your own sexual health and wellness. With PrEP, you are in charge. Love Yourself is introducing PrEP in the Philippines through Project PrEP Pilipinas. PrEP is provided free of charge, inclusive of regular health checks to ensure participants are healthy and happy. Know more by contacting Love Yourself via their Facebook and Twitter accounts.
To further explain and expound on pre-exposure prophylaxis, May we call on stage our medical expert from the Research Institute for Tropical Medicine, the head of the AIDS Research Group, Rosana Doc Ani Ditanco.
Thank you. And good evening to everybody. I'm very happy to give you more information about PrEP hopefully in a very understandable and simple way. As you can see, PrEP is a medical strategy for HIV prevention, but I think PrEP is one of the medical intervention that should be spearheaded by the community and not by the medical professionals to be successful. And having said that, it is therefore very important for the community to understand the efficacy and the safety of PrEP. As has been mentioned in the video, there has been well-effectiveness or efficacy of this medical intervention. At the same time, its safety. So PrEP is effective and it is safe. And this is very important for the community to understand the safety and efficacy of PrEP to be acceptable. And as I've said, as I said earlier, to be effective, I personally believe that this should be community-led and not led by the medical professionals to be successful. And having said that, it is really very important for the community to understand that and appreciate the effectiveness and safety of PrEP and its tolerability. It is for this reason that we are embarking on a demonstration project that would precisely document the effectiveness of PrEP, meaning its acceptability and feasibility in the real-world environment. What we want to demonstrate is that this should be an intervention that should be community-led with minimal medical supervision. And we believe that this is applicable, meaning a strategy, although it is biomedical, but it is community-led with minimal medical supervision because of the effectiveness and the safety of PrEP. So hopefully, in the early part of 2017, we will be able to implement this demonstration project, and this is called the PrEPI Pilipinas. And the PrEPI Pilipinas, in a nutshell, is basically a demonstration project on a community-led HIV prevention strategy for MSM. And we are going to pilot this in Manila and hopefully roll this out in the rest of the country. So thank you very much, and wish us all the luck for this project.
Now that we know what PrEP is, we think it's also important for us to hear from someone who's willing to take PrEP. May we call on stage Mr. Marvin Natural, a LoveYourself volunteer.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Marvin Natural, and just like majority of the people here, I am also a LoveYourself volunteer. I would describe myself as probably your average, typical young professional, 30-something guy, who, just like everyone else, would like to stay healthy as much as possible and would like to be protected as well. And I also enjoy going out to movies, hanging out with my friends, traveling, and spending time with my partner. And what I first heard about PrEP a few years ago when I was when I joined LoveYourself as a counselor. And at that time, it was something new. And we were thinking about the only way that we can prevent, that we can fight HIV, the only bullet that we have is to use condoms. And at that time when I heard about PrEP, I was a little bit surprised. And it's a little bit radical because it's a drug. And you're taking something that would prevent HIV that's already in your system. And you just want that to not infect you. So at that time it was a little bit surprising for me. And then through reading and gaining more, and as the PrEP has gained ground in other countries, I've actually gained confidence in it, and I want to try it as well. And I'm in a loving relationship right now, and I would have to admit that even if we say that condom is the best protection that there is, I have to say that there were times when I failed to do so, to use condom, and I would like to feel more secured about myself. My partner and I, we talk about these things openly. He's also a volunteer for Love Yourself, and we understand the risks that we take when we have sex with each other, and we talk about the things that we want to do to get ourselves protected even more. And I think that PrEP would be a great addition to our relationship, to make our relationship flourish even more. And at the end of the day, after having satisfying sex, we will also be satisfied in the fact and rest assured that we are protected. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Marvin. And thank you, Doc Annie, for sharing with us tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Marvin is just one voice. But as it turned out, he's not the only one. So the question, are Filipino MSMs ready for PrEP? So with that question in mind, we ran a survey answered by an astounding number of MSMs in the Philippines. I didn't know there was that number. 1,800 people answered this very long PrEP survey. And these are some of our findings. First, the majority of MSMs surveyed intends to take PrEP once offered. Second, most MSMs will still continue to use condoms, even if they are already in PrEP. This is one of the fears of people who are against PrEP, that people will not anymore use condoms. But the surveys show, and we're very optimistic, that only a very few % actually plan to not be using condoms when they are on PrEP. Now, this is very heartening because we have always espoused the thinking that the more layers and options of protection available, the better. And third, when asked why they want to use PrEP, their top answer was, very much like Marvin's, I want to feel safer when having sex. So tonight we're announcing that PrEP will be available to the public starting early next year. In fact, I just heard that the shipment of the actual drugs have just arrived. So that's a very good news. Palakpakan naman tayo. And that was one of the critical items in the schedule. No? And Love Yourself, as Annie mentioned, is a community organization that will initially lead in the distribution of PrEP first in Manila, no? In Metro Manila, in partnership with the WHO, the DOH, and other community organizations. And now, before we open the floor for a short question and answer on PrEP, may we call on Dr. Gundu Weiler, country representative at the World Health Organization.
Yes, good evening. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to say a few words on behalf of WHO. And it's really great to be here. And we are so proud to be partnering with Love Yourself on this very exciting project around the introduction of PrEP here in the Philippines. Now, this is the week of World AIDS Day. And this is the first of a number of events that we'll have this week. And to be honest, I couldn't imagine a better occasion and a better place and a better partnership to kick off the various events for this week. And to be here with you today, I think is very exciting. We'll hear a few numbers or many numbers probably throughout the week. And I just want to refer to two of them because they're very important and important for what we are doing and what you are doing here today. First, we often talk about the number of people in the world who are on antiretroviral treatment. Number of people living with HIV who are receiving ART is now by far exceeding 18 million globally. Now, this is probably one of the biggest public health feasts or achievements in the modern history of medicine. A treatment which was virtually unavailable 15 years ago, particularly to people who don't live in the richest countries of the world, has become available now to every second person who is living with HIV around the globe. Now, it is such an amazing achievement, and we reported, the UN reports on this number every year, but it's not thanks to the UN that this has happened. It's also not thanks to the governments that this incredible achievement has happened. It is thanks to people living with HIV, people who are affected by the HIV epidemic, the civil society standing up for their right, fighting for their right to health, to access treatment. And this is the origin, and we should never forget that, of this incredible success, that people who were the key populations affected by the epidemic got on the street and demanded access to treatment. That's why we have it today. Now, the other number I want to mention is the number of people who every year get infected with HIV. And this is a number that came down over the years significantly, but now we see that this number appears to be stagnating. It's not going down anymore. We have around 2 million or so that attract the HIV virus every year, and we actually see that globally in the adult population there appears to be going up again. And obviously you know the situation in the Philippines, which is much more dramatic because the number never went down, it's only going up, and as you rightly say so, even in exponential manner. Now, again, it's a question of key populations who are most affected by the epidemic. You know, in the Philippines, it's mostly the MSM and the LGBT community that is affected by the epidemic, and it is this community that also has the key in turning around the epidemic. But the situation of prevention is very different from treatment. Over the years, this community has been disenfranchised from the right to protect their own health and to take control of their own health. And somehow we are in a similar situation on prevention today where we were in treatment 15 years ago, that we need to mobilize, we need to stand up. Key populations need to stand up and mobilize for their right to take control of their own health and of their own lives and to prevent HIV transmission. What we need is a mobilization, we need empowerment, and we need courage. And I think this event today is so important, and the launch of this project is so important because in many aspects it symbolizes exactly this point in time. It symbolizes mobilization, empowerment, and courage. It's about mobilization because PrEPI is a project that is led by LoveYourself, which is an organization that is born out of a voluntary movement, of a mobilization of the LGBT community, and which is an amazing movement. We've just heard a lot about this, and which is very young and very active. And I think that's the type of mobilization that we really need at this point in time. It's also about empowerment. As was said, PrEP is one weapon that we have in the arsenal to prevent HIV transmission. And it's important that we give the means to those who are most affected by the virus to protect their own health. It's not coming from the outside. People are very much capable to take care of their own health if we give people the means to do so. And there are various ways to go about this, and the more choices we can give to people, the better they will be able to protect their own health. And PrEP is one important choice. It's not the silver bullet, it's not everything. It needs to come on top of other protection measures, but it is one additional important choice that will empower people. And finally, I think it's about courage. It's about going out and doing something new, trying out something which hasn't been done before. Constantly innovate and be out there where the problem is. And I think PrEP very much symbolizes this, and this initiative symbolizes it because it's being tried out here in one of the first places in Asia, and we really applaud the courage that you are showing by this project. So just want to say, and I hope you feel it, that we are very proud that we were able to work with Love Yourself and to support this effort and be partnering with you. We believe it is a very important contribution, and we do believe it is, of course, important for those who participate. And the numbers will be fairly small initially, but there was a direct positive effect of those who will be participating. But I think there's much more behind it. We really believe it's going to boost the movement here in the Philippines and the engagement of key populations, and they will do a lot more for prevention than just for the couple of hundred people who will participate in the initial phase. So we are very proud, and we wish all the best for this project, and I want to congratulate you for a very successful launch of this project. Thank you.